Well, I'm now in Paris. I arrived at 11 after that wonderful 3-hour high-speed train ride. I could go doing that all day long. I may do that someday. Got my bus tickets, or my train tickets, I mean, for Paris. I got 20 of them. And I shot out to the hotel in Montmartre, dropped off my bag, turned right around, went right back onto the metro and came down here to Valades, where I met the Valades, something like that. But anyway, it was the hospital that Napoleon built for his men after, I think, Austerlitz. It now is the place where there are, first of all, 2 or 3 great museums. They're all army and military museums. One is on the First World, one on the Second World War, one on military in general, and the fourth one I can't remember. And this is also where the tomb of Napoleon is. So he built it and it became his tomb. Probably one of the greatest monuments to man, as opposed to God. I'm sure each of these panels has a story and of significance. I, of course, have no clue what that would be.
You and your wife are done.
Listed around the base are the names of the battles that were great battles from France and Napoleon. Again, who specifically, if it is specific, are these angels, I don't know. And just the rock work alone here is interesting. All this inlay work. Like so much you could photograph for days. Problem is you don't know what you're looking at. This is a large painting in the I guess you call it a chapel. Most other places in France it would be called a cathedral in its own right, I suspect. I think this is all gilded gold, but I don't know. I'm guessing it is. As is always the case, the richness of these superfluous monuments indicate the amount of excess productivity, if you will, that a society would have. This was Napoleon's big brother's sarcophagus. He made his big brother king of Spain. And again, to realize that my ashes will be just thrown in the Snake River. Something's not quite fair here. This panel's interesting just because it's a story within a story. I, of course, don't know either of the stories. Interestingly, one of his greatest battles is Austerlitz, and across from it is Moscow, or Moskova, which was his major defeat. Rivoli was his first major victory that gave him prominence. This is the hat and the frock that, or coat that Napoleon wore, depicted in many of the paintings done of him, apparently. This monument depicts one of Napoleon's generals dying in the arms of somebody. An eagle takes flight. This was the sword that Napoleon carried at Austerlitz. In the back is the Soldiers' Church, which has the flags of nations that were defeated, or armies that were defeated. Apparently this was reconstructed after it was destroyed during the Revolution as probably a symbol of royalty and monarchy. This was the crypt of General Foch, or Foch, however it was said, F-O-C-H. I think it was in Costa Rica that I saw a monument to General Foch, hero of the First World War. We're about to enter the crypt, which is underneath this colossal and ornate altar monument. This will take us also down to the ground floor of Napoleon's tomb. This bas-relief reflects the return of the ashes, the exhumation and return of the ashes of Napoleon from the island of St. Helena by one of the new French kings who wanted to perpetuate this idea of great royalty. This bas-relief reflects the return of his casket with those ashes and the accoutrements of imperial power on top of that. And that's apparently the king to the... Notice the symbol of mourning. These would have been black armbands. This bas-relief reflects his administrative achievements, one of which would have been the Napoleonic Code. He has all of the affectation of emperor. This panel references specifically his contributions to industry and commerce. Each of these giant statues of angels reflect major victories, and they are standing guard, if you will, over his remains. Napoleon himself could not have been less than awed by the magnificent reverence French people created on his behalf. Of all men, he should lie or rest in peace. Here the French try to make Napoleon one in a long line of great names in history. This panel attempts to depict what Napoleon and perhaps the French people believed was Napoleon's greatest contribution to the world. Not his victories, but rather his Napoleonic Code. And here is the tablet. And it shows him having trampled on the codes of the royalty. And this panel reflects his concepts of central administration. This is Napoleon II, made king of Rome by Napoleon I, his father, with all the grandiose trappings. It makes you wonder, did the United States not succumb over and over again to monarchies because of George Washington's decision to be president, not king, and or the innate disdain of the American people for anything even stinking of monarchy? These are apparently the original front doors, made of huge slabs of wood. Well, at least they are huge slabs of wood. I don't know that they were all one piece originally. Probably not, in fact. But massive ones. Imagine what they would look like when they were brand new. Pretty impressive carving. Through the glass, which apparently many people don't know is here because they're not looking, where that bird was a moment ago, is the tombstone of Napoleon on St. Helena. And apparently when they brought, it was never finished because the French and the British, who for some reason apparently controlled it, could not decide whether to call him a tyrant or a hero. And so it was left unfinished. This is the inner courtyard. Presumably cannon, either theirs or ones taken from enemies conquered. Although apparently much of the brass from the enemy defeated cannon were turned into brass statues. Some of Napoleon's implements of war, perhaps. But these puppies were heavy. Don't ask, don't know. Here we see a multiple firing cannon. perhaps springing from the ideas of Da Vinci. Perhaps the man himself. And this an almost instantly recognizable rear silhouette. It's interesting to wonder what the purpose of the cannonballs was. Except to illustrate his victories initially came from his knowledge and skill of artillery. Don't know what this was. Had a boom type thing for it. This is a pair of very large cannon that bracket the entrance to the museum, hopefully of the Second World War. And down along the side are just innumerable cannon used during different adventures. They're different sizes.